Happy Sabbath, my dear brethren. I'm so happy to be with you this Sabbath because last Sabbath I visited our brethren in Macedonia, North Macedonia, and again I want to bring you their warm greetings. We had one beautiful meetings there. We have visitors from Bulgaria, Serbia, Australia, and some other countries, and one young couple, they married last Sunday. And may the Lord help us that we can pray for our people all around the world, because we understood in our Sabbath school lessons that Satan prepared himself for what? For last campaign. And you know, last campaign is strongest, and we need to survive in that campaign. So for today we will study a little zoology and little theology, and we will see it can help us. We can see many similarities between phenomena in the natural world and in our spiritual life. And can you tell me that illustration? Who are that people of that illustration? Can you imagine? I will help you. That guy is Joshua Nuno. And who could be that people?
Are these the people that come and tell lies that they
This is people from Gibeon.
yeah, that said they're coming from a far country to stay?
What they done? They're scared that people of Israel can conquer them, kill them. And what they done?
Tell lies.
They make one camouflage. What they done?
Old clothes, stay
They
fresh.
put old clothes on themselves, old shoes, very, very old breads, and they prevailed. Wise Joshua Nuno and people of Israel. Why? Because people of Israel didn't check what they spoke. And today I want to speak with you about fickleness. Do you understand that word? What is fickleness? That people, they are fickle. They were not honest. They spoke one, but in their mind was different. And can you tell me, in the natural world, can you remember some animals, and they are experts in camouflage, in fickleness? Can you remind some animals?
Chameleon.
Chameleon, thank you, sister. And not only chameleons, other fishes. I will show you one short movie. This is chameleons from Madagascar. You know, Madagascar is island close to Africa, and this is very isolated region, tropical region, and that animals living there from creation. They moving not so fast. It seems that they're lazy. And on that island, scientists realize there is more than 130 species of chameleons. Interesting. They have independent eyes. One eye can see there and another there. But look, they are ready for lunch. How? With a tongue so fast they catch their prey. And this is not only interesting thing in regard that animals. This is their family, how they call it. This is reptiles, yeah, like crocodiles. They have very strong tongue, very fast. 95 kilometers per hour they spread their tongue and catch the prey. Many sharp teeth in the mouth. Look, this is slow motion, how fast he touch and collect that insect. But this is most important in their behaviors. They can adapt the color of their skin in few seconds. They can change. You cannot notice. This is chameleon, very similar to other branches. They can adapt or camouflage himself. Look, almost the same color. And now the author of that movie asked us which chameleon is our favorite. I don't know. When we're speaking about people who are like chameleons, dead people are not so good. Look, this is a chameleon, probably this is pet in the house of some guy. And he put in front of him some glasses. This is green glass. In a few seconds, chameleon changed his color. Unbelievable. Now he will put a red one, and in a few seconds, chameleon will change each color into red color. Look. This is red. Unbelievable. Scientists are not sure why chameleon doing this. Some of scientists claim that the reason is that they want to protect themselves from other predators. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not an expert for zoology. Look, now he will change in a pink color. This is pink glasses, and his head is and now changing in green. Very strange. But sometimes, my dear brethren, we are doing the same. We claim that we are Christians, and probably you remember the case of Daniel and his friends. King Nebuchadnezzar requests strongly from all his servants to do what? To kneel down and to worship to that idol. And what Daniel could do, same like chameleon. He could kneel down officially and continue his life. But we know what's happened with him. He decided to sacrifice his life for God because he didn't have a custom of chameleon. He was firm in his faith. We realize, we commented a few minutes ago that people from Gibeon, he violently tried to, to prevail the Jewish people, and they were successful. Okay, their motives are not bad, simply they are scared that people of Israel will kill them, and because of that they camouflage themselves. But sometimes we can see terrible consequences of that chameleonism. Maybe you can recognize that picture. That guy on that illustration, he is John Huss, famous Bohemian reformer. He was a theologian, doctor of theology, he was a priest, and he started big reformation. But very soon Catholic Church invited him on the court. And what's happened? That guy in the background, his name was how? Sigismund. And what promised Sigismund to John Huss? He provided to him special documents, and he promised to him that he will protect him, that his life is sure. But during the court, what's happened with Sigismund? He changed his mind like chameleon, because around him was Catholic prelates, and he put on death John Huss. Sometimes, brethren, unfortunately, we change our minds, our behaviors, and God is not happy because we are not honest. We are not firm in our faith in our life. Who is that? Can you tell me? This is one king, and his name is Balak. And who is this? This is Prophet Balaam. What's happened with Balaam? Balak promised to him big money, but he needs to curse people of Israel. And what's happened with Balaam? He changed his mind like chameleon. He tried to speak with God. God told to him, don't go to curse my people. But he changed his mind, his behavior because of interest. Very, very sad case. Now we will study one institution which is originally from God. This is institution of marriage. And when we study that institution through the history, we can see big changing. In the beginning, we can read how is biblical law for marriage. And we can read in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one body, one flesh. This is biblical marriage between two persons of opposite gender. And we can find in the Old Testament many rules for marriage. Who can marry? It is interesting, in the New Testament, we can read, for this cause, this is the word of Jesus Christ, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and twain shall be one. Wherefore they are no more twain, they are one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. This is usually translation of that verse. What God joined themselves or united, let no man put asunder. But if you study in original text, in Greek text, because you know, New Testament is written in the Greek language, it is written, man cannot put asunder. Do you understand this? Today we have thousands of people who divorce. And in many countries, it is legal. If you want to divorce with somebody, you have a right to do this, because legislative in that country allow you. And you can divorce with somebody. But in the heaven you can separate. It is written in the Bible, what God had joined, man cannot put asunder. Also, we can have the same idea in the Luke 16. And also, in Old Testament, God provided to his people strict, prohibition who cannot be married. And we can read in the book of Leviticus, none of you shall approach to any that is near or kin to him. That means close relatives, they cannot be married. It was so in Old Testament, in the time of ancient Israel. How was, now is another quotation from some rabbinical books from Talmud. And they wrote that he who does not have a wife is not a real man. It was a tradition in the Jewish time. And also they wrote, single man is living without joy, without blessing and without goodness. But married man should spend below his incomes for food, according to his incomes for clothing, and beyond his opportunities to honor their wife and children. This is a tradition in the time of ancient Israel. How was with marriage in the early Christian church? According to the reports of historians, in the 3rd century, remarriage was legal. Around the 3rd century, on remarriage, even innocent part, it was viewed with displeasure. First, Christian church didn't allow remarriage. And we read also in the New Testament, Apostle Paul advised us, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, idolaters, and people who commit adultery, nor effeminate, they will not inherit the eternal kingdom." Later, during the history, situation with marriage is changing little by little. And we can see in the history, in the 4th century, Roman bishops began to consider celibacy, that it is more important to be married. And they commanded to all priests that they must marry with a church. And because of that, we had a terrible corruption in the Catholic Church. Thousands of priests became homosexual because they tried to force nature. And they claim that it is most important to so-called marry with the church. For example, Pope Gregory VII, he forbids all priests in his time to spread the Holy Communion if they don't promise for celibacy. Very strange. Some other people in the Christian church, for example, Gnostics, they go in another extreme, that they teach that all physical intimacy is wrong. And little by little, customs of the Christian people changed. How was believing of one of the greatest reformer, Martin Luther? How he believed? This is his words. Good Christians should not divorce. But if a divorce already occurs, they should not remarry. Try to remember that. Martin Luther don't believe in remarriage. Divorce is so disgusting to me, said Martin Luther, that I would rather accept bigamy than divorce. Very interesting. Martin Luther and reformers, they didn't accept remarriage. How was standpoint of Catholic Church? We know that they have 7 sacraments, sacrament of baptism, sacrament of Mary, and other. And according to Catholic dogma, they explain 12 obstacles to marriage. For example, if some people are close relatives, they cannot be married. And also, if one person is Catholic and another is, for example, Adventist, they cannot marry. They must be, both of them, they must be same faith. It was and it is standpoint of Catholic Church today. Even today, the Catholic Church does not approve divorce, but under certain specific circumstances, it allows annulment or cancelling of the marriage. It is, standpoint in Catholic Church. How is in the Church of England? The Church of England attempted to amend the marriage law in regard to divorce and remarriage. The law of marriage was not changed, but they provided some possibility. If somebody wants to separate, Parliament can make some permission for that. You remember from the history what happened with King, how was his name? It was, he asked to be divorced with his first wife. Henry VIII, yeah, thank you, brother. And what happened? Catholic Church didn't provide them. And what they decided? They decided to separate from Vatican. And it is very sad that one of the first Protestant churches started with the different customs, with the different rules in regard to marriage. And now we can read. In the 1888, Church of England had a conference here in London, in Lambeth, and they decided that innocent part has right to remarriage. First time in the history we have that rule. What's happened with the Adventist people? We know that from the very beginning we had a strict rules for marriage. How is it written in the Bible? Now I'm reading from the book, The Ministry of Healing. He who gave Eve to Eden as a helpmeet performed his first miracle at a marriage festival. It was Jesus Christ. In the festal hall in Cana of Galilee, where friends and kindred rejoiced together, Christ began his public ministry. Thus his sanctioned marriage recognized it is an institution that he himself had established. He ordained that man and woman should be united in a holy wedlock. And we can conclude that first Adventist people in 19th century, they recognized only biblical marriage. In the book Prophet and Kings, we read also, in the time of the every divine institution is to be restored. We need to restore also what? Marriage and Sabbath. Because this is two institutions from the beginning, and Satan tried to destroy that two institutions. And unfortunately, now we will see what's happened with the Adventist doctrine during the time. Unfortunately, Adventist people, like chameleon, they try to revise that doctrine. Now we will see some revision in the doctrine of marriage and remarriage. This is one document I can share with you if you are interested, from one our minister, David Zick. He wrote one interesting article, Remarriage After Divorce in Adventism. And I want to share with you a few paragraphs. The Seventh-day Adventist Church will not create an official policy on divorce and remarriage until 1932. That means Adventist Church became as organization in 1864. From that time up to 1932, they had strictly rules that divorce is possible only in case of what? In case of adultery. And remarriage was not possible in that time. But after 1932, what happened? They announced ministerial guide, or how to say, church manual, official document. This is guide for ministers, for responsible people in the church. And they first time mentioned the same phrase like in Church of England, innocent party. Can you tell me who is innocent on this earth? Who is innocent? I cannot tell for myself that I'm innocent. But they improve that phrase. Innocent part has right to separate, to divorce, and to remarriage. In 1932, policy was the first time that the idea of an innocent party was codified, and ministers were given possibility to determine who is innocent part and who is not innocent part. And that innocent part in 1932 could remarry. Interesting and very sad. which the establishment of the Church Manual as a supreme document for Seventh-day Adventists following the 1932 position, all further changes will be made in that document. Now we will see difference during the time how Adventist people change that doctrine. Like Camilla. In 1932, policy was the first time that idea of an innocent party was codified. But this is not the end of the story. In 1942, they improved another rule. It was Autumn Council of the General Conference, and in that document, they proclaimed that all persons who had committed adultery could only be readmitted to the church fellowship by rebaptism. And members who were disfellowshipped because of wrongful second marriage could not be readmitted to the church membership so long as the unscriptural relationship continues. Do you understand? In the 1942, if somebody commits adultery or remarriage, he can be readmitted in the Adventist church. How? Only through rebaptism. But this is not end of the story. What's happened later? In 1946, they changed some rules, and they claimed that it is not necessary to disfellowship people who commit adultery. Unbelievable. Not necessary to disfellowship some people and rebaptize them who commit adultery and remarriage. Unbelievable. This was further amended in 1950 and again in 1976, when the reason for divorce were extended beyond adultery to include other sexual deviations. And what's happened later? In 2010, they concluded faithful spouse has biblical right to secure a divorce and also to remarry. And this is not the end of the story. On the last session of the General Conference, they decided that both parties can be remarried. And it is not necessary to be, disfellowshipped from the church. How is our position, brethren? We claim that we are reformers, that we are reform movement. I will present you know probably that, in our Principles of Faith is written, only in case of adultery and persecution is it permissible for one to separate, but how? To remain single until the death of other partner, according to the 1 Corinthians 7 and Romans chapter 7 and 6, and according to the Matthew 19 and Luke, we have that principle that separation is possible only in case of persecution of adultery. If people can reconcile, better, but none of them, they have no right to remarry. And now this is a quotation from the Spirit of Prophecy. Book is the Adventist home. God gave only one cause why a wife should leave her husband, or the husband leave his wife, which was adultery. Let this ground be prayerfully considered. In the Adventist home we also read, still married in God's sight, although divorced. What does it mean? People can separate. People can divorce officially. But on the heavenly court, they are still connected. And as you remember, in Matthew 19, what is written? What God assembled, we cannot separate, brethren. This is very important. We need to understand this. There are many unhappy marriages, Sister White wrote, today. Why? Two units, they're interested, united in marriage altar, by most solemn vows before God, without previously weighing that matter and devoting time to sober reflection and earnest prayer. Many move from impulse. They have no thorough acquaintance with the dispositions of each other. They do not realize that the happiness of their life is at stake. If they move wrong in this matter and their married life prove unhappy, it cannot be taken back. Do you understand? This is position of Ellen G. White. If some people are unhappy in their marriage, they cannot give up or they cannot take it back. But unfortunately, some Adventist people, they misuse some paragraphs in the Spirit of Prophecy, some private letters of Ellen G. White to some people, and they built new doctrine about remarriage, brethren. It is very dangerous. We understood that we need to preserve original historical position of the Bible in regard Sabbath, in regard marriage, in regard Ten Commandments. This is our mission, brethren. We must not be like chameleon, rather be like apostles when they arrested them, rather be like Daniel. They were ready to die for truth and for Jesus. How is our position, brother? This is also a question. But little by little, brethren, I'm afraid that we, following the example of some chameleons in the previous times, brethren, be very careful. We have no right to put our Christian path wider. We need to preserve historical positions. In the same document, which I still mentioned, Brother David Zick commented, most of the biblical quotations and spirit of prophecy statements that are analyzed actually simply deal with when a person can divorce. But what is the tendency between some Adventists? They try to put in package divorce and remarriage. But it is not case. We read in that text, there is no biblical understanding that divorce automatically allows remarriage. It is never written so. So may the Lord help us that we can preserve our customs. We studied this morning in the Sabbath school. Little by little we changing our customs. 50 years ago, we kissed only brothers and brothers. Today, all of us, we hug. This is only one small habit. But we have 100 of other habits. Brethren, it is very dangerous. Little by little, our moral standard is changing. And what could be at the end? Now we can see what could be at the end of antediluvial time. What they done? They married the same gender. You can see here. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took them how they want. And today, in many countries, we have legal homosexual marriages, but this is not biblical, brother. We need to preserve historical points, brother. This is our mission. It is not easy, but God can help us. Now this is a letter from Ellen G. White in 91. The signs of the times, the wars and rumors of wars, the strikes, murderers, robberies, and accidents tells us that the end of all things is at hand. And she mentioned many signs of last time, and at the end she mentioned divorce and marriage after divorce. She realized that it will be one of the last sign of the end of the time. And what we need to do in regard this, marriage after divorce is here without any exceptions, then listed as one of the great sins prior to the second coming of Christ. Now is the time for the people of God to restore every divine institution. So may the Lord help us that we can preserve historical points of apostles, of patriarchs, and also of first Adventist pioneers. We must be firm in our truth. May the Lord help us and preserve us. This is my wish and prayer for all of us. Amen.